Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The 54-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother has been through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Turn it over to another agency.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
McSherman is a demon.
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hi, everybody. How are you tonight? Thank you so much for being here. Let me know if you can hear me. We are live. So I just want to make sure everything is all connected. And hello, Adrian. I see Crazy Crime Chick popped in for a minute too. Happy Friday to you. I haven't seen you in so long. Hi, Debbie and Johnny was here. And thanks so much for becoming a member. Yeah, let's unpack that. So we haven't spoke since, okay, thanks, Kez Chick. I appreciate you. And hello, Maligator. So we haven't spoke on this case since Monday. I got a little bit sick during the week. I'm still a little congested, so I'm sorry I sound the way that I do. But I put together some clips that kind of update everything since we spoke on Monday. And it also recaps things. So I saw Paul T, which I appreciate you being here. You said that you don't know this case much, but you're here to support. So I really appreciate that. And hopefully the little clips that I've edited together kind of get you caught up to speed. Hello, Dustin. Good to see you. And so after we play the clips that I've edited together, I think that we should just watch the new Court TV segment that just came out. So I hope you stay tuned and we'll just jump right into everything. And yeah, so thanks again. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe, of course. And yeah, let's get into it.
I feel like I can't breathe. All I keep thinking about is, where is she? Is she safe? Is she okay?
Madeline Soto was found dead in a wooded area in St. Cloud. Stephansterns has not been charged in her death, but will stand trial in May for dozens of child sex charges.
April 2nd, to be exact, will be his arraignment date, April 24th, pre-trial, and the trial May 13th. And now the state attorney's office tells me that those are set arraignment dates unless they're waived. And in this case, Stearns did waive that date, and those were the next court dates picked by the court system. He's sitting in the jail cell right now.
Okay, so these visuals that are on the screen don't match the audio, meaning I've used the audio from news stations, but I've added in visuals that are referencing his new charges, his 60-something charges that just got added on since we spoke on Monday. So while you're seeing things on screen, view at your own discretion. They're very graphic and they're just very disturbing.
And if convicted of child sex crimes he's accused of, Stephansterns could spend the rest of his life in prison, regardless of what happens in the investigation into the death of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. Stephansterns, the prime suspect in the disappearance of Madeline Soto, is the boyfriend of Soto's mother. He was the last person seen with the 13-year-old. In May, he'll stand trial not for her disappearance, but rather dozens of sex crimes.
I don't think this case is going to go, and if the murder charges are added, you're going to be a year and a half, 2 years away before this case comes.
So this guy has spoke on this station numerous times. It's a local station. He's the former chief judge. So he's just giving his perspective.
Comes to trial. If the defense is not ready for trial, which I don't think they will be, at that trial date, they're going to move to continue to give them more time to examine the evidence. They're waiting for all of the evidence to come in so they can carefully look at it, analyze it, and make an informed decision as to the murder charge.
So far, investigators have examined enough for the state's attorney's office to charge Stearns with 60 counts of sexual battery on a child under 12 and lewd or lascivious molestation. Stearns has not been charged in Maddie's death, as law enforcement continues to investigate and has yet to charge anyone.
Monday morning, we took her to school. We dropped her off close to school, across the street from a church, which is it's right next to the school. She crossed the street and walked to school, what we thought walked to school. My boyfriend who drove her to school drove away at that point. It was seen on video footage that she hung out in the parking lot of the church for a few minutes and then got up and walked towards the school. But she never made it that walk and that was around 9 a.m. when she got up. She never made it to school after that.
Off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. It's the last time we saw her.
What were the conversations that y'all had in the car when you dropped her off?
Not much. She was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out, and I love her. She said thanks, love you too. That was it.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school.
It's right next to the school. I don't know why she didn't make it. I don't know if something happened on her walk along the way or if she got taken, but she never made it.
And that was the last anyone's seen of her or heard from her?
Yes. I went to pick her up after school, and she wasn't there. So I started driving around, maybe thinking she took a walk. Maybe she decided to walk to my mom's office, which is pretty close to the school as well. I drove around and I didn't see anything. I drove back to the school. The school was closed. I emailed one of her teachers. They confirmed that she was absent all day. At that point is when I called 911 because I realized something was truly wrong.
And so where do you think she could possibly be? I mean, this isn't, as I was told, this isn't normal behavior.
This is not normal behavior. She's not the type that would just run off. We don't know where she could be, and we're scared.
Is she the type that would run away? Has this happened in the past or anything? Has she ever threatened to run away?
Never. She's never ever mentioned anything like this before, and she's not the type to want to do this.
We're searching all the areas around that area where she was last seen.
We just want her home.
Are you, in a sense, blaming yourself?
It's hard not to. It just keeps coming in waves. Just the reality keeps hitting. We don't know where she is. We don't know if she's safe.
She did accidentally leave her phone on Monday, which is kind of normal for her. She's got ADHD and very forgetful.
We were able to access Madeline's phone, and there is information on the phone that indicated that she told people when she turned 13, which was on February 22nd, she actually wanted to go live in the woods. So that was in her phone.
We're just scared. We just want her home. We just want our baby girl back.
I feel like she may have been taken.
We have evidence that shows Stephansterns returning to the complex, and Madeline was visible in that vehicle. We believe she was already dead.
All right. Thank you all for being here. So, like I said, I want to play the new Court TV segment. Let's run through something real quick, too, just to recap what this little segment was saying in the beginning. So, the state's attorney's office on Tuesday filed 6 new criminal charges against Stephansterns. He is the prime suspect in the disappearance and death of Madeline Soto. She was 13 years old and her body was found on Osceola County after they thought that she was missing for a few days. And I mean, everyone besides Stephan obviously knew the truth. And there is big debate on whether or not the mother knew more. I see the comments in chat, and they continue to come in since our last live stream where we kind of broke down our thoughts and opinions on the mother. So it says Stearns, who is a boyfriend of Madeline Soto's mother, Jennifer Soto, has been charged with 8 counts of S battery on a child under 12, 5 counts of S battery on a child age 6 or 12 to 18, 7 counts of lewd and lascivious molestation, 40 counts of unlawful possession of materials depicting S performance by a child, 10 or more images. The affidavit that we looked at, 36 pages, I can link it if you guys really need to look through it, but it has a lot of graphic nature and descriptions in it. Stuff that there was something including a child 5 and under too. So it's more than just Madeline, who I think is linked to Stephan. We kind of all suspected that he had more victims. The document does not name a victim, but does include a date of range and how long Stearns has allegedly been in possession of the graphic materials. And it started June 19th, 2019. And it ranges from February 26, 2024, and the day that Madeline was last seen. So this stuff is just so foul. I mean, there's stuff even... I'm not even going to read this article because I don't even think we can say it on YouTube, but the term used for that type of material in animals, I can't even believe that I'm saying that, but it's true. That, that was shown in the documents, that there was stuff, acts involving animals as well. So here is a new premiere. I don't know if you guys seen it. Hold on, let me just load this. It looks like it's a little hazy. This just came out at 8 o'clock. Yeah, so we'll watch this together. Again, I'm not feeling 100%, so I'm just going to kind of chill with you guys tonight. Yes, Mac J. And thank you so much. The other night you popped into my Watts stream and you said, just here to like the stream. I know you don't really like to cover Chris Watts, so I just appreciate you coming in and hitting the like button, even though, it was a case that you didn't really want to watch. So I hope you guys are okay with just kind of hanging out tonight. I'm still not 100%, but I hope that those edits that I put together kind of get you guys caught up with the updates since we last spoke on Monday. And yeah, we're here for the Court TV segment. Has anyone seen Roxanne in chat too? I want to make sure I don't miss her. And hello, Chase, and everyone else who has joined. Yeah, the mother comforting him makes you so mad. It was just kind of bizarre. It's hard to know. Some people think that she didn't know that the daughter was dead, but maybe she knew more about things that were taking place. Other people think that she knew everything that was taking place, including the murder. It's very hard to kind of figure her out and what she knew at this point. She has gotten very quiet. There's talk that she lawyered up. There's talk that she's in a mental facility. I don't know any of that to be true. I do know that, like any convicted person against child crimes, Stephan Stearns is in solitary confinement right now, which was very normal for what he's facing as far as the charges, and to keep him safe, they do that with people like him. And the statement from this reporter a couple days ago said that the family doesn't want to get caught up with the media, but he did tell me, we are completely blindsided by this. There's no way to expect something like this. And he also wants to wait for the investigation to play out. So I don't know how you kind of have a defense with the charges that he's been charged with the phone material found right on his phone. But it'll be interesting to find out. In your opinion, she knows more? Definitely could be. And guys, keep your comments coming in, and I will pause the segment, obviously, and we can still talk through this. And I'm really sorry, people sharing their stories about similar instances with them in SA. It's just absolutely horrible. I said something that I guess I find it hard to believe that at 8 years old, she didn't tell her mother. But I obviously realize that there's a lot of instances where kids are, told not to tell or threatened and all that. So maybe that was the case with Madeline. Even worse, did she tell her mother and her mother did nothing? Or there's also talk that they were in cahoots with selling this material on the dark web. We don't know any of that to be true, just like we don't know for a fact that she was pregnant. But these are all things that we've kind of been speculating on and wondering. We're still waiting on information from the autopsy. We're still waiting on toxicology. I think that the toxicology is needed for this. I feel like there's a possibility that maybe she was drugged. But again, we don't really know. We don't know all that until that information is released. And how they'll release it, they might not give us the autopsy, but they might give us a summary or an update on what they know of the autopsy. And I'm really sorry that there's people, and I'm happy that you guys feel like you can share your stories here. But I am sorry that it happened to you guys. And Rainbow Mom, I'm sorry to hear that.
What did he do to her? Stephansterns, this man from Central Florida. What did he do to Madeline Soto? The allegations are going to make you livid tonight. Combing through the 32, 34, 36 pages that were filed. This is maddening. It's worse than we thought. The more we learn, the worse it gets in this case. I want to start here. Madeline's 13th birthday. This is the photo.
That's a good point, Jay, that, exactly. And the fact that he had those pics on his phone, not just a hard drive, you're telling me she never checked his phone? Get out of here. Right. That's a good point. And the fact that she said when she realized that she had left her phone at home, that she went through the messages and deleted messages. You're telling me that you didn't look at your significant other and say, like, why did you drop her off at the church? Like, why didn't you bring her to the school? There must have been something, you would think, if she's completely innocent. And hello, Johnny, if you can hand out some tea, I could really use some right now. I just find it hard to believe that there was nothing between them where she's saying, like, let me see your phone and stuff like that. So it's just, I think a lot of people are saying it's too hard to imagine that the mother had no idea. But then at the same time, there's people who are like, she doesn't seem like she's all the way there, or maybe she's on medication. Maybe she's tapped out. Oh, there you are, Roxanne. So I just want to thank you again for buying me dinner tonight. I really appreciate you and I love you. And I appreciate all my moderators and thank you so much. So maybe there was a password that she was unable to get through. Thank you, Johnny, so much. And here's some tea for everybody.
The birthday party on the 25th. The day before she goes missing, and I believe the day before she is murdered. Or maybe it was later this night. I don't know.
So I'm thinking that it was at nighttime after the party. It seemed like that's what a lot of people were saying. Can you press 1 in chat if you think the mother knew more? Can you press 1 in chat also? And those on replay, do the same. Comment below. Press, I don't know, 3 in chat if you think that this happened after the party. And then if you don't think so for any of those, just say no.
But she was born on February 22nd, 2011. Okay? She was just 13. Just turned 13. So the question is, and this is what I've been wondering, what did he do to her? How long was he doing this? And there's a lot of ambiguity surrounding the circumstances and the relationship of Madeline's mother and this man. What was he? What was he to her? And how long was he there? What was he doing? Well, Shannon Butler from WFTV, investigative reporter down in Orlando. Years ago when I worked at Orlando, I worked with her. Incredible reporter. They're digging up everything they can. She was on the show giving us a few more details about the background of when Stephen Stearns enters the life of Madeline Soto.
We looked back at the Facebook post and we could trace Stephen Stearns, what appears to be in the life of Madeline and Jen Soto, at least 6 years. We've heard from different folks that maybe there was a period that maybe they had broken up and may not have been around. It depends on, what the friends have to say, but at least.
So I will pause it here. I have a moderator who looked up Jennifer Soto's, history, and we did find a marriage between her and some guy named Steven. I think, what was the date on that? 2015. Correct me if I'm wrong, Maligator. But it didn't last long, it seemed. And he's already remarried. And it obviously wasn't the father. Okay, so 2015. It wasn't the father of with the bio dad of Madeline. They were only married a year and they divorced under dissolution of marriage. Is that how you say it? Sorry, guys. I've never been divorced. So I don't know like all the terminologies, but from what I remember kind of skimming, and hello, Tony, good to see you. And hi, Unravel. And what else did we find out? Yeah, I've heard that too, House Huddle. What's going on down there?
The post that we could find on social media went back as far as 6 years.
6 years? She's only 13. She's only 13 now. You go back in time. So we went through these documents, and what I want to show you now, so you have an understanding of what.
It seems like she met Stephen Stearns like right when she was divorced. So she got married 2015, divorced 2016, like right around that time. So she must have been, I'm wondering if he preyed on her while she was in sort of a weak state. Maybe she was desperate. I don't know.
What we are talking about, the amount of times, and these are just the offenses that he allegedly recorded and documented and kept on his phone. 2019, this goes back to 2019. She's 8 years old. Look at this. What did he do to her? What did he do to her? This is what he's documenting.
Now, from what I remember when I was looking through, again, I was so disgusted. It's not like I sat there and read every page like I did for the probable cause affidavit for other cases like Brian Koberg and stuff. It was just so disturbing. The stuff that involved the animal, I believe that wasn't related to Madeline because it said, I think, 5 and under. I don't know. I could be wrong there. Again, it's not something that I'm like memorizing and trying to get every little thing right, but I think that's what it was. 400.
This is what they believe they have proof of him doing to her. A lot of things I'm noticing about these dates. A lot of summer dates. June, July, August. Okay, I want to back it up a little bit now to remember what we know about this guy and what he told us about what was going on here. Because he spoke to WFTV, gave them an interview. At this point, it's a missing persons case. But still, let's watch and let's listen now in light of all these allegations that have been made about what he was doing to her.
I dropped her off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. So last time we saw her, she was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out, and I love her. Shit.
And isn't it just sick how he says she was asleep most of the way? And then we hear from law enforcement that they knew at 8:19 when they see his car with her in it that she was already dead. So it's almost like when he did this interview, he had it set up like in case she was seen while they were driving there, he could say like, oh no, she was asleep. It's just so, You can tell that it's purposely said. I know this case, everyone's getting very upset in chat, and rightfully so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sleep, bull crap. And thank you so much for being a member for 3 months. I know she was going through hell. And like Vinny said, a lot of the stuff was documented that it said it was summer months. So obviously she wasn't in school to tell anybody. No teacher, no guidance counselor, friends couldn't know. It's just horrible. Last time we saw her, right. And this whole we thing, you know, there he's seen throwing out her backpack and her laptop around 7:35, and yet the mother says around 8 she's talking to her while she's getting dressed. And the whole getting dressed thing for me is rubbing me the wrong way. The same way that he talks about she was asleep, her mentioning that she'd seen her getting dressed, I can't help but wonder, like, were they dressing her? Was he dressing her? Like, what was going on? Because how is she dead at 8:19 in the car, according to law enforcement, but the mom's seeing her get dressed at 8? Not making sense. Was the breakup they had due to mom suspecting him before? We don't know. We really don't know. I've heard there's been a few breakups in the last like 7, 8 years that they've been together. So it's hard to know those details. But it from what he described on Reddit, he was kind of posting on Reddit and stuff. There was something in there. And thanks for becoming a member, New Brunswick. I really appreciate you. And I love that picture. There was there was a post that he was talking about. Of course, he's giving advice in Reddit to like teenagers, and he says something about no sex is good enough to deal with a headache. That's what I was going through. So I don't know if that was referring to Jen, but it did seem like in his Reddit posts, he was kind of complaining about, you know, relationships and, you know, it's not, sex isn't good enough to just stick around if you're not happy. So I don't know if that was about Jen or not, but it was interesting to see. And he brought up cameras. I think he knew they were there or if people seen them. And this also makes me think that it wasn't premeditated with the sloppiness of everything. But again, there are cases where it was premeditated and they still kind of fall apart and make mistakes anyways. So it's all going to be interesting to kind of see everything laid out once they can show it to us, because they are dotting their I's and crossing their T's for these murder charges. And I believe truly that we're waiting on toxicology.
Thanks, love you too. That was it. This is not normal behavior. She's not the type that would just run off. We don't know where she can be. We're scared. We just want her home. I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking toward the school when I saw her. It was like any other day, so I went on with my day. It's hard not to blame myself. But it just keeps coming in waves. This is the reality keeps hitting. We don't know where she is. We don't know if she's safe. We're just scared. We just want her home. I even went out with the cops where I had dropped her off. And we looked all up and down the road, all along communities, and there was nothing helpful. None of the cameras were pointing the street. Nothing, which in 2024 was surprising. The church across the street had some cameras, and they mentioned seeing her waiting around in the parking lot for a while before moving on. And that was it. But it was grainy. It was grainy footage and not much else. She had a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she was just very happy. She was a happy kid. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet girl. She brings a lot of joy to us, and we just...
Ew, I'm so disgusted the way he just said she brings a lot of joy to us. Just knowing everything that came out after this interview was done. The words that he's saying is just so cringe now that we know, like, the joy that she brought him. There was also something in there. Hold on, let me just refresh what he just said. Oh, about she was so happy. Jennifer, the mother, and him both emphasize how happy she was after her party, which makes me feel like it was the opposite. She was not happy. Maybe she was mad the mother missed it. Maybe she's mad about, things that are taking place, obviously. All of that, she had justified rage in her that might have been unleashed that night. So there are stuff that we're kind of wondering, was there an argument? Was there, her fighting back, finally saying, I'm done with this, or I'm going to tell on you guys. And then they keep hashing the narrative of she was so happy, when really it's the opposite. She wasn't happy. She was mad. She was upset. Hello, Ruckus. Good to see you. So I don't know. Again, him speaking about she was happy that we were all there. The mother wasn't there, though.
Just not knowing. It's like our whole world is upside down. Not feeling her presence here is. Sorry. It's hard.
Knowing all these allegations that are, again, a result of what they got off of his phone. And then you listen to that. Like, she was happy. She was not happy with you. She was not happy in that house. She's probably scared to death. Goes back to 2019. All these years. Do you really think you dropped her off and she said, oh yeah, I love you too?
I just love Vinny. I'm saying, if you guys haven't subscribed to his new YouTube channel, you definitely should. Zoe, yes, I thought I heard the mother say that. Like when I was editing the clips today, in another interview, mom said she got up at 9. I thought I heard that too. I'm going to have to re-listen to that for sure. Not that I don't believe you, but I remember hearing it and thinking like, wait, where did this 9 o'clock come from? Yeah, wiping his dry eyes with an even drier tissue. So I don't know. What do you guys think? It's hard to say at this point, but I want to get a feel for chat. Premeditated or not? Let me know. Just write the full words out. Enough of this 1 and 3s in the comments.
No. Stop. Here's the question tonight, though. What changed? How did things change? If it's 2019, 2022, 2023, now we're in 2024. What changed with this 13th birthday? That instead of a sex abuse case, we are now talking also about a murder investigation. Let me bring in my special guest joining us in Los Angeles, board-certified forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, and columnist, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Carol Lieberman, what should we be thinking about? What is the potential? Like, what changed here?
Well, the typical thing that changes when sexual abusers stop is a few different things. One, some have age preferences. Some get more turned on or more attracted to children of a certain age. So when they get to be older than that age, then there's not as much sexual attraction or fulfillment. Another reason is some men get scared when the girl starts menstruating, because they don't like the possibility that that's kind of shocking to them when, oh yes, wait a second, there's the possibility of her getting pregnant.
I do get what this doctor is saying. Like, she reaches the age of 13. It's not ideal for him anymore. Like she said, like maybe she had gotten her period. A lot of girls, including myself, I got my period, I think at 11. I was in 6th grade, 11 or 12, kind of early. So I don't know if Madeline was the same way, got it earlier, or if she's like, this doctor is stating like maybe she had just gotten her period and it kind of was, a coming of age, not his type anymore, not his fetish, I guess you could say. I hate even saying that because it's so wrong. But I think you guys understand what I'm saying. But I would have to, at this moment, obviously we don't have all the information that we need to kind of determine, because I seen somebody say not sure yet. New Brunswick said she's not sure about premeditated or not. I would say at this moment, I kind of agree with Maligator that she was too valuable to him for him to give her up. So I don't think it was premeditated right now. I think it was maybe an accident. I don't know if drugs are involved. Maybe that's why they're waiting on toxicology. And that's why there's no charges. But I'm just feeling like he she was very valuable to him. There's no other way to kind of explain it. It's not every day that he could kind of get this opportunity, it seems. And it seems like she was what he looked for. We heard from friends that he was 20 something dating a 14-year-old. So I think that the age aspect, like her being 13, I'm not sure if that means she's too old, but then again, maybe his taste and what he wanted changed. I mean, judging by the material on there, it's really hard to determine what this guy was into as far as age range. It's terrible. But it seems like a lot of people are saying premeditated. But again, there's a lot of people who are just saying, like, I don't know. Like, we just don't know, I guess. But I do like to kind of get a feel for where you guys are at. He was busted, mom tripped out, and he cleaned up. Perhaps. Heard that too. Maybe she was jealous and seen them together. I've heard that as well. A lot of theories going on right now. A lot of theories. I know it. And basically it just comes down to this. Sick. Just sick. I think, it's only going to get worse, the information that we receive. So reading everyone's theories kind of is almost bracing me for it.
And then, of course, as the older they get, the more there's the likelihood of them saying that they're going to tell someone, threatening to tell. Now, what I have found to be super interesting, chilling and ironic, but she had said there was a message on her phone where she said, once I turn 13, I want to go out into the woods, words to that effect. And of course, ironically, she was found in the woods. Her body was found in the woods, but that is not what she had in mind. But what that does show is that she may have wanted to break free. And he may have gotten scared at that time.
Get out of that house of horrors that she was living in. Let me ask you this: from what's been, again, these are the ones that I believe have been documented on his phone, and that's how they've gotten these charges going back to 2019. But
so she had mentioned, according to mom, Justice Jane, that she had a crush on somebody, a boy at school, but we don't know of any boyfriends, past or present at the time.
look at the dates. It's June, it's July, it's August, summer months when school is not in session. I'm looking at the years of the alleged abuse. 2019, nothing in 2020. Starts back up in 2022, 2023, into 2024. But that was COVID. Nobody's going to work. Nobody's going to work. So should we be reading anything into this? I mean, I'll tell you what my gut is telling me is that summer break, mom has to go to work. I don't think this guy works. Tried to get some work at Disney, not to make money. And then COVID, he can't be alone with her. Does this tell us anything about?
You mean because the mother would have been likely home?
Right, remote.
COVID.
Nobody's going to work in 2020.
Right. Yes, of course, also that could have been the time when they broke up. That reporter was saying that they might have had a gap.
Okay. So what are your thoughts now? Because there's a murder investigation going on. Do you think at age 13?
I'm thinking that it could be something that horrible to Maligator. She said, I think he got money from places we don't want to know with the images. I mean, that I think is a huge possibility. And then it leaves us to wonder, so then were the mom and him both financially gaining from this? That's been thrown around also. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying what people have kind of been wondering. If she knew, would that be a reason for her to turn a blind eye? Hard to say. And he didn't have a job. I mean, he was working at Disney, his friend said, and we found out for a short time. But most of it, I think one of the friends came forward, said anytime he knew him, he was always jobless. I know that it's just infuriating that the 36 pages, like I said, I skimmed it, saw that one thing, and I messaged you about it, and I was like, I can't. And now I'm in so deep with this case. Like when we started covering this, she was missing. And now with everything that's transpired, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't just drop this case because of the horrendous nature. Like I want to get this girl justice. And now look what we've kind of all jumped in. Please do not donate to any Soto family fundraisers. Maddie's cremation was supposedly paid for by crime victims fund. Jen is seeking help for attorney fees and supposedly in contact with Creepo. That's what I'm hearing too. Thank you for letting chat know that as well. Yeah, I'm hearing everything was paid for. And the fact that they cremated her so quickly also leads me to think that maybe toxicology is going to give us the information we're waiting on, because you would think that if it was anything like a physical manner of death, strangulation or gunshot, the defense team would maybe want the body held on to for a second opinion or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Yeah, I know. That is a major possibility. Big money in CP. It's terrible. And if the mother has anything to do with this, I mean, she's done for. We've tried our best to kind of tiptoe around, did she know, did she not know? But if she knew, there's no tiptoeing around her. She's worse than Harmony Montgomery's stepmother.
Would a child feel like, now I can fight back? I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a teenager. I'm going to fight back.
Yes, 13 is a very, it's a crucial age. It's a turning point for a lot of kids in a couple of different ways. First of all, in regard to their mother, girls and their mother, it's a time when girls start, wanting to branch out into the world, maybe start dating and so on. And when mother looks at the girl and sees that she may be it may be a time in her life when things are going down, or not as exciting at the very least, and she sees her daughter blooming. Now, I'm not talking about this family necessarily, but sort of in general. But also, yes, I'm a teenager. I should be able to break free. She said, I want to go in the woods. So what does that tell you? It really does tell you I want to get out of this situation. And I think she might have felt, in regard to him too, that it's time. It's time for me to tell you no more.
And let's talk, everyone's still talking about mom as well. What are your thoughts about mother-daughter relationship? This stuff is going back to the time that she's 8 years old. Would you expect an 8-year-old to tell mom what's happening? Would it be obvious to a mother that something is wrong if an 8-year-old is being sexually abused?
Well, it certainly should be obvious to the mother, since he was living with them and so on. But there are reasons why mothers turn a blind eye. The one is that I was mentioning before about, when you want to hold on to the man, and this is what you sacrifice. I'll sacrifice my daughter. I really want to have sex with her. I mean, it's unconscious generally. And also, I was thinking, if it turns out that he was selling his photographs and videos and so on as pornography, then and would have been making money from it, then perhaps the mother knew she was complicit. She wanted the money from what he was selling.
Wow, there's so much for investigators to uncover here. At this point, I just have to reiterate, no one has been charged with the murder. The mother has not been named as a suspect. He obviously is a suspect in all of this. He's being held with no bond on all of these charges. What would you make of the mother not cooperating? And I don't know if this is happening, but if she's not cooperating, like if she's not telling investigators everything she knows about her daughter's life inside the house, and about Stephansterns, who's been accused of doing this to her daughter, if she's not cooperating, would you read anything into that?
Yes, if she's not cooperating, then that means more likely that she did know at some level what was going on, and she was either complicit with it, for financial reasons, or to be able to keep him with her. The less she cooperates, the more it seems like not only that she's protecting him, but that she doesn't want the world to know that she went along with this.
All right, Dr. Carol Lieberman, great to get your insight tonight. It's always appreciated. Thank you so much. We have a lot more to dive into in this story, folks. When we come back, they are here in studio. Randy Kessler, Molly Parmer, Daryl Cohen, our think tank. I've got some important legal questions for them, and we're going to talk about the investigation as well. Don't go anywhere.
Just pausing it for a little bit to talk about some comments. If she was involved, he will tell on her. I do believe that. I think that both of their lawyers will probably advise them to turn on the other one. Naturally, somebody asked a botched abortion, maybe. I don't know, because if something was going wrong, I mean, she could take an abortion pill and, I just feel like that's not something that they would need to hide. I feel like if something was going wrong there, they would call 911 and then like, because no one's going to test the DNA of the child. They don't have to say who the father is. So if it was something like that gone wrong, I don't think that they would dispose of her, etc. And I feel like that wouldn't come out as a murder. So they came out obviously not telling us how she died, but they said the manner was homicide. So there were people also wondering, did she do this to herself because she was just so depressed in the life that she was living? I just don't think that they would have come out and said that the manner was homicide. They would have come out and said inconclusive or knew we're doing more investigating, but she was found dead. So I don't think that it has anything to do with an abortion gone wrong or that she did this to herself because she was so depressed. I think that it's something else, but I could be wrong. But I don't think that it's that she did this to herself because they wouldn't have come out saying that the manner was homicide.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time and that stephansterns moved her body in the early morning hours on that day. We have video evidence that shows stephansterns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26th. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster. At 8:19, we have evidence that shows stephansterns returning to the complex.
Okay, so there are people saying that CPS will test the infant or fetus for paternity, especially if she was 13. If she died from an abortion pill at 13, they damn well should have been an investigation and all this stuff of Stearns would have been found out as well. Well, that's true. I mean, that's very interesting to think. I just am wondering, like, why would the abortion pill go wrong for her? Like, it just seems like something that, is commonly used, regardless your thoughts and opinions on it or not. I'm just wondering why, for some reason, would have gone wrong for her. You know what I mean? I think that if they'd gone to the doctor and got the pills in a way that they could get it, but I don't know, maybe the mom went but then she would have to have a pregnancy test to prove it. I don't know about that. Again, everything's on the table, so I don't want to discount anybody's theory, but I'm kind of with Maligator. Like, I don't think that she was even pregnant. I think that they would tell us because the autopsy, like all that kind of like plays into, why this went down. But I personally, I'm not there. I can't look at a girl with baby fat, she just turned 13. It's hard for people to say, like, look at her boobs and she looks pregnant. I think that is just way too over the top of looking at that picture of her at the party and saying, yes, she's pregnant. Again, I could be wrong, but okay, so you can buy it at the pharmacy. Okay. I don't know. I'm not really feeling the whole the abortion gone wrong aspect. But again, who knows? I'm not an expert in all this, and we don't know until the autopsy and the toxicology comes out because obviously that would come out in the toxicology. Oh, okay, squeaky wheel. That's interesting. I feel like there's a lot of reasons why she could have died. That's for sure. Plan B is over the counter, but that's not the abortion pill. No, Pam, that's not true. Because, like I said, I started my period when I was 11. I still had baby fat on me. They won't release the autopsy in Florida because she's a minor, but they will release to the media summary, which is what Vinnie Politan was saying. Yes, it's just a theory, Crystal. For those who just Emmy, for those who just joined, we're just theorizing. And that was a theory. Plan B is just is like a high dose of birth control that you take within 72 hours of unprotected sex. Then nowadays they have, well, I think they've had it for a while, a way to terminate your pregnancy at home, and you take a pill. So two different things.
And Madeline was visible in that vehicle. We believe she was already dead at that time.
Welcome back. Despite all that evidence that he's laying out, still no murder charges in this case for Stephan Stearns. All the charges that he's facing now, 60 counts, are all sex abuse and child sex abuse on his phone that's recorded. Look at this massive list. But I want to specifically look at one area of these charges, which are very significant, especially now in the state of Florida. Sexual battery on a child under 12, 8 counts of that, okay? Significant. The other counts are significant as well, but that's the most significant. Why? Because of a brand new law down in Florida, which went into effect on October 1st of 2023. A person 18 years of age or older, Stephan Stearns, who commits sexual battery upon or an attempt to commit sexual battery injures the sexual organs of a person less than 12 years of age commits a capital felony. It's now a potential death penalty for the sex crimes in Florida for someone under the age of 12, the victim.
I personally think it should be that way in every state for child crimes like this. Gloria asked, how did they cremate her when the investigation is still ongoing? So that's why I'm like kind of theorizing that maybe she was drugged and it went wrong. Again, I don't know. So I'm not saying that my theory is accurate, but they're waiting on toxicology, which takes 4 to 6 weeks, and they're waiting to press charges until all the evidence comes through. Now, why get rid of the body, which is a huge piece of evidence? That's what I was kind of wondering. Maybe that's why we can kind of lean towards maybe she was drugged, because if it wasn't anything that the defense team would get a second opinion on or another medical examiner would need to look at before the trial, I don't know, a lot of questions why, so quick to cremate her. Parents and families have, the right to handle the remains the way they want to of their loved ones. So it's hard to say, like, no, don't do that. We might need the body again, but it is hard to exhume bodies too in cases. We've seen that. And sometimes they want to exhume bodies and the family says no. So I'm not sure. I'm not really sure.
And you look, this goes back to 2019 now, right? Clearly under the age of 12. Going all the way to 2022, still under the age of 12 in 2022 in the summer. Now, here's the problem. The law went into effect in 2023. So is this a potential death penalty case just for the sex abuse charges? Let's bring in the think tank. Joining us live in studio tonight, criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former assistant DA in Atlanta, Daryl Cohen. Also with us tonight, criminal defense attorney in Emory University.
And in some cases, like Lil Red said, they might, once they have sampled all the fluids, etc., the body is not needed. They might also just get a second opinion based off of the first medical examiner's notes. So sometimes they don't even need to, exhume the bodies, and it's okay to get rid of them, cremating them. Drugged, huh? Good one at ATS News. Haven't thought about that. The only reason why I thought that was one of his friends on Gray Hughes came out talking about drug use and medications that maybe the mom was on, stuff like that. And then I started thinking, wonder if they were kind of drugging her all these years to get her to participate in these acts, and it was kind of hazy and blurry for her. I'm hoping I'm only hoping that they were drugging her during that abuse, is because obviously it's too hard to kind of bear, even thinking about her not maybe being separated from her mentally. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm explaining it the way I should, but I just feel like it's a possibility. And the fact that they are kind of waiting to press charges still kind of makes me think that the toxicology is needed for the charges. Because we've seen in other cases, they wait for the toxicology, but the defendant already has the murder charge. So I'm just kind of confused by this order in this case.
University law professor, Molly Palmer. And finally, family law attorney and law professor at Emory University, Randy Kessler is with us. So it's Daryl and the professors tonight. Great to see everyone. Can you punish someone for conduct back in 2022 and 2019 with a law that was passed in 2023?
I would hope so, but the answer is no, and that's spelled, unfortunately, it's called ex post facto. No.
You don't think it's
he deserves nothing less and nothing more.
I understand what he deserves. I want to know what the law is first.
Law, in my view, no, because you cannot pass a law regarding something that took place before and prosecuted.
Even if it's just a punishment?
So here's the issue. The law actually is unconstitutional because in 2008, there was a United States Supreme Court case, Louisiana versus Kennedy. It was a 5-4 decision wherein the court analyzed the interplay of the 8th Amendment, the prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment, compared to the 10th Amendment, the state rights to legislate. And they said, if there's not a death or an intent to do death, kill somebody, then you cannot impose the death penalty. The fact that Florida has enacted this law is one thing. I mean, legislatures all the time enact unconstitutional laws. I do believe that this law will be found unconstitutional as it has been before. I also think this is going to be a murder case, and that then will make it a capital
Right,
felony.
that gets, so the sex crime is not going to do it. You agree, Professor Kessler?
Molly makes law professors look good, doesn't she? She's exactly right. So on 2 counts, he loses. The law is unconstitutional, and it's ex post facto. We'll get to use those fancy words we learned in law school. Can't declare something illegal after it's already happened and then convict somebody of it.
Okay, so on 2 different grounds, we're saying this might be a problem to try to get a death penalty from the sex crimes. Okay, Daryl, everyone's asking, why hasn't he been charged yet?
Because at this point, at least in the state attorney's office eyes, they don't have enough evidence to where they're circling. Believe me, they're looking at DNA, they're looking at every piece of evidence they can possibly find. And when they have enough, because he's incarcerated, he can't go anywhere. All he can do is go get his meals, go to the cafeteria, maybe. They'll charge him, but they want to wait because they can wait. It's not as if he can disappear, flee the country, flee any place.
Well, a lot of people scratching their heads because, in the initial press conference, they're saying, we believe her dead body's in his car.
Belief is not tantamount to proof.
Right. And I think in this case, it's strategically smart for the state to charge him with 60 plus additional felonies for which he's facing life in prison, because people want to know. They want to know the specifics. And sometimes investigation doesn't get you there. So now you have leverage. You can sit with him and say, look, you're facing life either way. I haven't charged you with capital murder. Tell us what happened. And at that point, perhaps there are some unanswerable questions at this point that resolve all of these things we're wondering about.
Well, a lot of people also wondering about the mother, Randy.
Well, the mother. Well, first of all, the father. He might wish.
He's not the father.
Not the boyfriend.
Wait.
The stepfather.
Let's. She called him the stepfather. You're a family law guy, so you know better than all of us. But apparently, the mother referred to him as Madeline's stepfather. We don't know what Madeline called him because she's not with us.
I'm sure she called him
predator.
I don't think they were. I don't think they were married, but there are rumors that maybe they did get married. I don't know.
But back to what I was saying, he probably would be wishing for the death penalty. You don't want to be in jail forever with the conviction of those crimes. So back to that, he might say, please give me the death penalty after this trial. But yes, the mother, that's strange behavior. Why is she not out there telling the whole world everything she knows, talking to the cops, saying, she
might be. We don't know. We don't know where she is, by the way.
But remember, if she does, she may put herself in very deep yogurt.
Well, what kind of potential problems could mom have here?
I mean, the way that she behaved during the press conference, I thought was strange from the beginning, right? There's no tears with either of them. She said a few things that I found to be very, off-putting. So if she is complicit in terms of the murder, these charges also can serve as leverage against her. A good lawyer can say.
What do you mean by complicit? What sort of action?
I agree, Maligator. Like, thoughts and prayers out to the law enforcement officers who had to go through his phone and see these images. You cannot erase sometimes images out of your mind. And unfortunately, as part of the job, that's what law enforcement signs up for, to view things that no one else can view or wants to view. And that material, especially those You know, even if you're not a parent, it's disturbing. But I was also thinking about them too, Maligator, like the fact that they show up to go to work that day and they have to go through Stephen Stern's phone and stumble across that stuff. And it's like, how do you just go home and decompress after that and forget about it? Like you can't. You really can't.
Knows about the murder, but is not involved in the production of child sexual exploitative material or the sexual batteries, then now she can become a source of information to implicate him, who is seemingly more egregious in his behavior. If she has any involvement in the killing of her child, now those unanswerable questions can be answered through her, and he can be prosecuted.
What defines involvement? Where's the line between knowledge and involvement? Because a lot of people talk about this concept of turning a blind eye.
That's exactly what she may have done.
Well, it's also different when you're a parent. You have a duty to take care of a child, and child endangerment means you're responsible for a child. You got to protect the child. If it's your child, then I know something's going on. That's different. Do I have a duty to intervene? Less so than if it's in my household. I've got to protect my child. So does the knowledge get you to murder?
Yes, it
Parties
can.
to
Absolutely.
a crime, conspiracy. She may not have done anything other than see, feel, or hear what's going on, but clearly, in my view, she can be charged with and convicted of murder if the evidence is there that she knew what was going on.
Not doing anything physically to take the life, not doing anything to sexually abuse her own daughter, but knowing that it's going on and knowing that the murder took place can wrap her up in the actual murder charges?
Accessory after the fact, if she did anything in terms of trying to cover it up. And certainly deliberate ignorance is no defense. You don't get to turn a blind eye under the law. And the jury is often instructed on that very provision. So yes.
It might be an option for him. If he wants to lessen his sentence, he might say, Mom was holding the camera. Mom was involved. Mom knew about all this. You don't have anything on Mom. I'm going to give you, Mom, on a silver platter. Give me something in return. You never know what's going to happen.
Inactive participant, she can still be charged. She can still be convicted. And the two of them can play one another. Each can play one, and they can go down together.
All right, let's talk about something else that's a big part of this case. All of these images, hundreds of images, and they're all connected to the charges, right? The first 20 counts, there's images of all of them that he's being charged with. And how far do you think this investigation will go in terms of trying to figure out if there's connections to anyone else?
I mean, I wonder if the feds are going to get involved. If you actually have a production case, which I think has been hinted at, I mean, is this just possession of child sexual exploitative material, or is he producing it? I mean, those are typically cases that the FBI gets involved with, and then they start seeing, you know, like you said, how far did it go? How nefarious is this conduct? Is this being sold and disseminated on the World Wide Web? These are questions that I think the feds would like to answer, or perhaps it stays in Florida and maybe it is something that was limited to their home and you know, just the child and not being shared amongst other people on the internet.
Too bad the victim isn't here, right? That's the sad news. You're not going to ever hear testimony. You don't have any forensic interviews. It's all hindsight. It's all circumstantial. Sounds like they got a heck of a lot of circumstantial evidence to put him away, but Molly's right. If there are other players, other people that participated or benefited or profited.
Do you think there's more images somewhere?
Absolutely. It ain't over till it's over. There are more images somewhere, and they're not going to go away. Sort of reminds me of a case having to do in Fulton County. Nothing happened until it did, and the more it happens, the more expansive it becomes. If they find a person or persons who bought the porn, and they can prove him or her to have bought it, he or she can be also charged federally.
Is information like that something that his attorney would ask him about? Can it be used in some strange way as a bargaining chip? Not just to go after Mom, but let's say there is some connection to some larger ring here.
I mean, you don't have to ask him, because our technology, computer forensics, is so in depth that we're going to find out if there is more. Like, you know, didn't he say he reset his phone? I reset my phone. He made
the accidental factory reset. Accidental.
So, you know, people don't realize that there are all these files. If ever you possess.
Hello, criminality, and hi, Jess. Thanks for joining. I'm just pausing it for fair use purposes to just kind of go through comments and chat for a second. I agree. He might have had other phones or computers. Pedo ring may be connected to other cases. Yeah. And maybe there's other victims out there who might come forward and say, I remember this guy and he did XYZ to me, and I would like to be on the stand to testify against him. So that might happen. Hi, Tanya. Good to see you. So there's still room for other victims to come forward still, as horrible as that is. It can help the state out in prosecuting him, even though, even if he never gets these murder charges, like he's going away for forever. But it would be nice for victims who want justice to have the opportunity to come forward and work with the state and get justice for their abuse that they suffered by the hands of Stephan Sterns. There was something else I wanted to say too while I paused it, but of course I can't remember.
Them. Deleting them or resetting your phone doesn't do anything. And so they're going to do a more thorough forensic image.
I think I was just going to say, when I had told my husband that he had factory reset his phone and told them that it was an accident, I mean, he just kind of laughed and pretty much said, like, you might as well just come forward and tell the truth at that point, because lying and trying to say that you accidentally factory reset it is just so idiotic.
Of all of these devices. And typically somebody who engages in this behavior, one of the hallmarks of this conduct, usually, you are a collector, right? If you are this type of person. And so, yes, there could be a lot more that remains to be seen.
And Vinny, yes, could he implicate somebody else to get a better benefit for himself? Yet, not just who he sold it to. What if somebody who's pulling his puppet strings and saying, listen, here's how you do it. Here's what we want. Here's what sells. And there's somebody bigger than him, a bigger fish that they can catch. Then you're onto something. Then he's going to get a deal. He's going to get less than he would otherwise get.
Does he want a deal? As pointed out earlier.
Or does he want to live on death row because you're
because
a little
he'll be
more
protected?
protected?
Absolutely.
One final question, and a lot of people want to know this. Does he get to see those images again as an accused?
No, that's not how that works. So
he's not allowed to see it?
No, you cannot disseminate this type of discovery to your client. So what the attorney's responsibility—
What happens during the trial?
So the attorney has a responsibility to, assess quantity of images, types of images, whether there's sadomasochism involved. And so you have to go to a controlled setting wherein a federal agent or an agent from the state shows you what's before.
And only show it to the lawyer. What if he wants to represent himself?
Wait a minute. If we have a trial, he is going to see each and every image
at trial. It will come out
by the state.
Not in discovery, at trial. A lot of people want to know that. All right, they're here the whole hour. Up next.
Richard Allen's attorneys are back on the case in the Delphi murder trial, but they have to face the judge themselves on contempt charges. What's going on in Indiana?
Baldwin, can you provide any
journalism? It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
We'll have to watch Court TV's Delphi reporting too, for those who are following Delphi. And if you are following Delphi, I highly recommend you checking out Criminality and Defense Diaries channels. And actually, my friend and moderator, Johnny Kramer, he has his own channel, and we just kind of decompress true crime and chat and chill over there too. So you guys are welcome to any of those channels. Subscribe and join us over there. I moderate for those channels as well, and I'm members of them. So come join us over there to talk Delphi, because that trial supposedly is coming up in May. So we'll see how this, goes, and if it's on schedule for that.
There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. The date your children are born, the date you're married, the date you buy a first house, the date Abby and Libby went missing. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28th, 2022. At that time, we had gathered evidence, and the judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. This investigation is far from complete.
Lily Rose, your question. Does that mean the jury would get to see the pics? I don't think anyone should get to see them unless they are blurred. I'm trying to remember. So someone I know that's very close to me is a U.S. Marshal. He was one of the marshals that escorted, what was that guy's name? Dugar. Josh Dugar. Was that his name? That guy who was on that TLC show with all the kids, the religious one, and he got caught with this type of material on his phone and stuff recently. I believe they did show the jury the material. From what I remember, I don't think that they blur it. Duggar, that's what it was. But again, I've never been on a jury for anything like that, so I can't really state it. But I think that they show the jury. I mean, that's part of the case, and that's part of convicting someone, is you have to see the egregiousness of their crimes. And hello, Amy. Good to see you.
Mr. Allen is now without counsel. I've ordered him transported back to the Department of Correction.
So I think the rest of this segment is Delphi. So let me just skip through and see. Yeah, it looks like they're talking Delphi. Hold on. Let me skip. What's this?
Library, and then got arrested and charged. Fit in the rest of the show.
Argue this ever in court?
Are you going to do the last exercise?
Okay. So that kind of concludes everything that they had in their report on stephansterns. Obviously, we'll be following this case very closely, and any updates we'll be reporting here. Maybe we'll get information on toxicology soon, or the autopsy. I know everyone keeps saying they're not going to release the autopsy. I'm not asking for the literal autopsy pages. But I do think that even though Florida won't release that on a minor, I think that the media, something's going to come out in a way that they can legally say, like, this is what happened to Maddie. So when that happens, we will discuss it. We'll cover it. We definitely will be discussing Delphi maybe next week, early next week. And then obviously we discuss the Chris Watts case recap and review every Thursday. So that's what we got going on right now. We'll talk very soon. I'm still not 100%, guys, so I'm just kind of exhausted at this point. Otherwise, I would hang out with you guys much longer. But I think that's pretty much it for me for the night. And I appreciate everybody chatting. We need to know how she passed. I just think that these kind of answers are kind of going around in our head. Like, we think we have an idea, but when it comes out, we might just be like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. The charges will reveal some information from the autopsy, in my opinion. I think so too. I definitely think so too. They will give us the cause of death. Yes. ATS got me sick, not the other way around, FYI. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, I just coughed. I sneezed when I was moderating for you earlier this week into my phone. And then the next thing you know, you were complaining about being sick with the same symptoms. But thank you, everyone, for the well wishes. And we'll talk very soon. And yeah, we'll just, you know, keep commenting your thoughts and opinions too, if you want to comment down below. And I'll see you guys very soon.